Welcome, 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 everybody. I am Abigail, your host. We are here with Breath of Life Conversations, and I'm just really excited for you guys to get to meet Breyel. She is somebody that I met through the interwebs, as I do. We find our people, we find our tribe, no matter where they live in the world. And she is just such an amazing, beautiful creator of community of women and helping them grow and reach their next level of self. We are going to actually be diving real deep into her work and how she got started and all of that. And we're probably going to get into some, not what you expect sort of conversation. I'm pretty sure, like, I know Brielle, right? And I know that we do not stay on surface of anything, and she has got
Facts.
words of wisdom. So let us get into this. Brielle, hi.
Abigail, I'm so overjoyed. I've been looking forward to this conversation all day. So, oh my goodness, words can't even express the happiness of how I feel when we connect. And I'm so blessed to even be on your platform. And I'm blessed that we have this connection.
Too. I love that word blessed. I do. I truly, truly believe that so much of our lives are blessings, and so many of us don't actually look at them that way. And I think that if more of us really could tap in and understand that our lives, even the hard parts, even the obstacles, they're
Mm,
blessings. They're
blessing.
blessings. We would probably be a lot better off. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
I agree. 100%. 100%.
So will you tell everybody, like, full name, why you're here on this planet, what your mission is, like, and how you came to it?
Of course I will. Okay, so as you probably can see right here at the bottom of the screen, or maybe on her title, my name is Breyel Banks, and I am a extremely passionate entrepreneur. I am the CEO and founder of Queenhood Finance. And over in that community of queens, I am extremely intentional about building relationships with women where I empower you to create and grow your dream business. And what's so uniquely different about Queenhood is that while business should have clear steps about your operations and your marketing and your sales, what I help you break through is that your inner confidence is key. I help you learn how to be more consistent in showing up as your authentic self and learning how to use that in your business to attract your ideal clients. And most importantly, well, I wouldn't say most importantly, but an important aspect piece of how I help my women is my goal is to get you to 5K in your business in the first year. And, Abigail, oftentimes as women, we shy away from wanting to make the money, right? We get into oh, I just want to help. My friends and family love when I just call them and just give all of my healing abilities to them. I don't want to charge them. Over here in Queenhood, honey, we gets to the money.
Yeah.
Because when you're making some money, you can feel comfortable. And we want to feel comfortable as we help people. We don't want to feel like the servitudes or the servants who live like peasants while everyone else lives great. And they were just like, but I'm doing it for the Lord. Honey, you better do it for the check.
Well, and understand that the more that you can actually build your own personal wealth, you can do so much with it. And you
Facts.
can change your world around. Like, it I was just speaking to my mom about this, about um me hearing the lesson from one of my mentors about people being in the poverty mindset
Mhm.
because they're not even so much that they're afraid to make money, but because they don't want to feel guilty about having it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is so true. That is
Mhm.
so true.
So
And
true.
especially when it comes to minorities, when it comes
Mhm.
to women, when it comes to women who are minorities, when
Yeah.
it comes to those of us that are in businesses that are more spiritual in nature, you you hear it all the time. Well, I'm doing it, like you said, it's, the Lord called me to this work. And while that may be true, it doesn't mean that the Lord called you to this work and said, oh, and you must be a pauper as well. Like,
There's no way,
like,
right?
right? Like, how are you supposed to continue to do the Lord's work if you don't have the money to do it? We live in a world where money is the currency.
Yeah.
If it were beans, we would be saying
We'd be
you
trying to
only
collect
got
the beans.
right. But it's not. It's the green. It's the green,
Yeah,
or the Bitcoin, or whatever it is that you trade in. And
right.
I find it fascinating too, and I don't know if you have noticed this. I'm sure you probably have, that being in a community of women, primarily women of color,
Mhm.
that line, right? That line of like, we have to break through this intergenerational poverty that
Yeah,
we've got going on
yeah,
is huge,
yeah, yeah.
huge.
It's so big because I think what it boils down to is like if we haven't seen our mothers, our aunties, our grandmothers really reach this level of wealth, it's hard for us to believe that we should or could or would even get to that level. And I think the breakthrough is that's why like queenhood is called queenhood. And this, let me tell you what's so interesting. I never thought that I would be an entrepreneur. Like I can remember like thinking, what the freak am I going to sell? Like, girl, what? Right? And then then I realized like, hey, I've been through this situation where my mom raised 4 children making like $17 an hour. Now, if we added up the math, not mathing, right? Some
Absolutely not.
things went short. And that's when I realized I was making these financial mistakes. I had my car repossessed, like barely could pay my bills at a period of time. And for a second, I thought there was something wrong with me.
Mm,
And then I had to realize, hold up, it's not you, Breyel. Let's go ahead and just take that limiting belief off.
right.
Right? We've never really been taught how to manage the money. We've never been taught how to use our gifts, our skills, our talents to monetize in the marketplace. And what happens is we then use like the situations that we've seen our parents go through and say, well, my mom made 50,000, I can at least make me 50,000, or she lived in this home. This is probably like my cap, or the complete opposite. We do 2 things in business tomorrow and I'm supposed to have 6 figures in my bank account. And if not, somebody gonna die. Right. So we're like on 2 different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But it's like in queenhood, you're a queen. And so you recognize that as long as like you said something so powerful, and I want to backtrack on it. Money is currency and confidence is currency as well.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I think a big part is us learning how to use those currencies that's spiritual. That's the reason why you're so wealthy, because your currencies of healing and energy reading and ancestral work and connections and fearlessness in certain scenarios. That's a currency that you cannot go to Walmart and be like, let me get that spiritual healing for $19.99.
Right. Exactly. Right. And
You
it
can't
and
do
it
it.
takes and it takes time. And I think too, this is something that people don't understand, and why I think your business is so successful, because it's understanding how to build confidence within yourself
Yeah.
is a process. And it's not just like you said, let me grab this off the shelf for $20
Right.
and I'll bathe in it and I'll walk away and I'll feel excellent and great, and everything's going to work in my favor. It's a process. It's every
Yeah.
single day of
Yeah.
saying, this is how I want to show up. What do I need to do right now today to make sure that I take one step closer to showing up in that way?
Yeah.
And I tell people a lot, even just in the health realm, I'm like, you have to understand like what health means to you.
Mm.
I'm assuming that you probably say something very similar to your women, because confidence doesn't look the same from
Yeah.
person to person, and particularly in from woman to woman. Like some
Facts.
find themselves to be very confident being that stay-at-home mom,
Yeah.
and feel at this point in our society very, very like put upon and like and pressured and feeling quite bad about
Mhm.
themselves because they want to stay at home. They want to be that stay-at-home mom. They
Right.
want to make their kids lunches. But and feeling like they're not doing enough. They're not woman enough because there's a ton of women out there going, you know what? We don't want that for ourselves. We
Yeah.
want to go out and be killing it in the business world
Yeah.
or entrepreneurship or what a tech or STEM, right? And
Right.
so just looking at how do we all sit at the same table?
Mm.
How do we build that table together and
Yeah.
not look at each other as somehow deficient
Mm.
because their level of confidence doesn't match mine?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you just took it there. I knew this would be good. Okay. You said it so perfectly too, because here's the reality, and this is exactly what I tell women too. Health is wealth. Oftentimes, we are looking for wealth in the monetary aspect. And again, abundance is our birthright. So that's the reason why when we talk about like get into the money, that's really like the last part of the conversation, right? Like, I'll teach you how to sell. But before I teach you how to sell, I have to teach you how to see that health is wealth, because a big part of confidence too, in some way, shape, or form, is exactly what you said, how we show up as a woman. Now, as you ladies see, like, I'm bald head, I don't do the nail things. You're not gonna get the makeup out of me, right? You're going to get me as an individual because I feel more confident just showing up authentically, versus some women may feel more confident by putting the outfit on, putting the shoes on, putting the hair on, right? But what you realize in the health is wealth conversation is that how you feel is really the healthy part that helps you take your business to the next level. And if you don't feel good in if you don't feel healthy mentally, if you don't feel healthy physically, if you don't feel healthy emotionally, spiritually, financially, it will never manifest,
Absolutely. I
right?
100% agree.
It will never
100%.
manifest. Yeah.
Yes.
And you made a
Because
good
so
point too. Oh, go ahead.
yes, and so many people think that health is solely their physical.
Right.
You don't even understand that you have to be healthy in your relationships, healthy in your conversation, healthy in your communication,
Yeah.
healthy in your body. Yes, healthy in so many other aspects of our lives. And if you're missing part of that, it's not just that part that's going to feel the burden.
Yeah.
It's going to be there's stuff downstream that comes from it.
Yeah.
If your
Mhm.
body isn't physically healthy, then how can you show up to make money,
Right.
right? If so sick I'm laying in bed, right? Then how can I be posting? How can I be communicating with my clients? How can I be,
Yeah.
going out in the world and hanging out with my family and friends and cultivating good relationships? But the same thing goes if you don't have healthy money practices,
Yeah.
then you're certainly not going to be making a ton of money. If you don't have good communication skills, then how are you going to be building community and able to speak to clients effectively, to be able to pass on the knowledge that you have? I mean, there's so many layers
No, it's
to it.
so many layers. And you made a good point too that I want to go back to is, let's go back to the woman who you said may feel incompetent in some way, shape, or form about wanting to be that stay-at-home mom. Here's my personal opinion about that, right? I don't care if you want to be a stay-at-home mom or if you want to be in the garden all day. There's still not a reason why you cannot monetize off of your gifts, because here's the thing, and you mentioned this and it's so perfect. We feel inadequate when it's time for us to come sit at the queen's table because we see other women performing. And what happens is we all have that feeling on the inside of us that says more. But like you said, your one female's more may not be Abigail's more. Abigail's more may not be Breyel's more. But again, it's all of our birthright to financially monetize. So here's where the disconnect comes, where that stay-at-home mom would rather feel the feeling of guilt or separation to not being inadequate versus just seeing that honey, your purpose is to be possibly the stay-at-home mom, but we're still going to challenge you to say, what have you learned as a stay-at-home mom that you love so much that you would want to do? Maybe you've learned that when you sent your kids to public school or when you went to public school, you got bullied. So it's something that you didn't want your children to go through. How can you create a community of women who feel like their children are being bullied? And how can you bring them in? You're still a stay-at-home mom, but it's still your job as a woman to pour into other women who you can help. You're always going to feel inadequate when it's time to sit at the queen's table if you are not a servant in some way, shape, or form to other women to help them grow.
I love that. Let y'all like sit with that for a second. Sit with that for a second. You are always going to feel inadequate sitting at the queen's table if you're not in some way, shape, or form in service.
Yeah.
And this does, and I understand what this means, guys. Like Breyel just dropped huge wisdom here. We're not talking about necessarily 100% service to others. You need to understand that service means service to yourself, service to something higher than you, service to others, if that is what is calling to you. Everyone is going to be different, but that service component stays the same.
Yeah.
Every single time. If you are not, and this is so true. I look at every single person who is living their mission and their purpose and feels like they are abundant and wealthy in all aspects of life, and I can guarantee you that they're in service to somebody. They're
Yeah.
in service to themselves probably more often than they feel like they're in service to others, because they feel like their content is something that's God-given or source-given or however they want to choose it, and they don't feel like it's coming from them.
Yeah.
So they feel like they're doing themselves a service by staying in connection with something higher than themselves and just being that channel.
Yeah.
Just letting that information, that wealth of information, that wealth of knowledge come down through them and out, and just putting it out into the world.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, this can be applied to absolutely everyone. And if you came into this wanting like at least one good tip, now this whole conversation so far has had tons of things, but I want everybody to like have that be the thing,
The thing.
that they really, really, truly hear. Real for you, was queenhood, did it like registered to you when you were starting, when you like came up with the name that you're like, okay, this is my way of being in service while I sit at the table? Was that something for you
Yeah.
that you registered, or did it come to you later?
It was extremely intentional because, again, a part of it was when we operate under the mindset to know that here's a fun fact about me. I like to listen to trap music, okay? Like we from Savannah, Georgia. It's ghetto here, but y'all might like it. Come down to the river. We'll show you a good time, right? But so a part of me can totally resonate with like when the dudes like rap about being in the trap and like seeing like how I had to take this and turn it into that, and how any obstacles and struggles that we've ever been through. Future is one of my favorite rappers. So toxic. It's a guilty pleasure, okay? But he talks about a song where he was like, I will never miss a loss. And being in that mindset to recognize that anything I've ever been through is never a loss, it's always a lesson. So in this time where I was ready to move back from Savannah to Atlanta, because when I was in college, I got kicked out of college for partying. Okay, it was a struggle. Your girl was having fun. Right. So I had to move back to Savannah. But when I moved back, I realized like it's very slow here, and Atlanta had something else for me. But even in the midst of trying to make that transformation, the week before I got my job at like this corporate office, I was going to be making $14 an hour. I knew I was going to be balling.
Oh
Okay.
my God.
The week before I started, my car was repossessed because I was already struggling financially. So I start this job, I get on my feet, and then I'm intentional at this point of I have to see, why did I go through this situation? Like, what's the next? Not harboring my mindset in the victim mode of woe is me, my car got repossessed, I didn't know how to handle my money. It was more so like, now that I'm in this good environment, which I happen to go work for a car company who repossesses people cars. So I was like, oh, I need to get inside the repossession department because I need to see, right? I need to see who was just calling my phone. But from that, I was able to gain like sympathy and empathy. And that's when I learned like it was nothing wrong with me. I'm talking to 100 people on the phone every day who are in this same predicament. And so the signs started aligning when I happened to run across this guy named Dave Ramsey. And he was like, you can be a financial coach, you can help people budget their money. And so this was right at the midst of COVID too, and all these downloads were coming. And one day I was writing my book called Becoming Intentional on Purpose. And in the third chapter, I talked about a metamorphosis. And I tell you, no lie, the word queenhood just popped in my mind and I Googled it. And queenhood is defined as a high value queen aggressively preoccupied with making and saving money. I said,
like, that's it. That's it.
it was it. And so at that point in time, I was extremely intentional. I said, well, I don't know nothing about being a financial coach. I saw that they was like, you don't even need a degree. I knew how to budget. I knew how to get you to tell me your rent, light, gas, water, phone bill, car insurance, everything. I knew how to have you tell me, how much are you making at work? What are your expenses? Where can we cut down on? What can we do? So slowly but surely, I started taking the obstacle that I went through and being intentional about just talking to any women who wanted some help with their money. Because again, this company I work for got thousands of people on this repossession list. And I made a vow and said, if they got one customer, I can have one client.
Yes.
Right. So it's like I took the lesson and started to be in service with what I went through. So very intentional.
That is amazing. Also, like, it's so fantastic that you actually went and looked up the actual definition of queenhood. How many people knew that that is what queenhood meant? I certainly didn't. Like,
Most people don't.
I think we just automatically are like, oh yeah, queenhood, like a woman who stands in her queenhood, like a woman who like stands in her sovereignty, like,
Right.
you know, like I don't think anybody, but this, you guys, this is why I push so hard for, like, if you ask me what is one of the most valuable things that you can do, read. I say read. I don't care what you read, but read,
Right.
because the more you read, the more you will learn, either because your body physically has some sort of a reaction
Yeah.
to hearing what you're reading, like it's gonna go, oh no, 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 no.
Right.
There's something wrong with that. Or because you're feeling like, yes, I am so activated by that. That is so good. And you take it with you and you apply it in your life.
Yeah.
It's so, so important, guys. And Breyel just gave a perfect example of how, like, when you don't know what it is, like, even if you think you know, like, please just look it up. Just look it up.
Just look it up.
See if what your perception or your conception of that thing actually is correct. And you'll
Yes.
probably find that you're learning something in the midst of all of that.
Yeah, because I think when we talked on my podcast, I think we talked about the word humble, if I'm
Yes.
not mistaken. Yes, and we talked about that over there. We can even share it over here. Like we
Yes.
we in America, we've accustomed ourselves to saying like, I'm just going to remain humble. I don't want to charge them. I want to remain humble. If we look up the definition of humble, humble literally is defined as to be of low importance, less than, right? So, like, if you're listening into this episode and us talking about using your natural gift, skills, and talents to monetize in the marketplace, if it's kind of scaring you because you're like, but I just want to remain humble. So, you want to remain of low importance?
Right. Right. That was one of my favorite moments on your podcast, because I came to that feeling of like, I don't want to be that, because of Aniko's song. And
Yeah.
their song is Jericho has been so impactful for me. I just, I feel like every month or so a new song like comes into my life and just impacts it or helps me get through something. And so when we brought it up in your podcast, I was so excited. Like inside I was just so giddy that you even wanted to talk about that you even wanted to bring out that definition, because it's so real, guys.
Yeah.
It's so real. How many of us are sitting here going and using that word and we do not understand what it is that we're saying?
Yeah.
Guys, this is really important. So listen up. Like, your words are powerful. What
Yeah.
you say creates your reality. If you are going to be using words that you do not understand, you best believe the universe does not care if you don't know what they mean. They have a vibration. And if
Yes.
you do not know how to use your words, your magic,
Yeah.
with intentionality, you don't be surprised when your world is trash. If you are acting trash panda because you
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
what you're saying, it's nobody's fault but yours. And I'm so sorry if this is triggering to somebody, but also sorry, not sorry, because some of y'all need to hear it.
And this, oh my gosh, like you're really giving it to them, because think about this too. Like, when people like hear about like magic, they can think like, ooh, okay. But let's be honest, they call it spell ing for a reason. You spell out words. Your words are literally you casting spells. Like, you don't even have to believe in magic. We are just talking about A plus B equals C. And what I also find so like pivotal that we're talking about this, and it's so profound, is, do you ever realize like how we can believe that when it rains it pours?
Mm,
We can believe if it's
yeah,
not one thing, it's another.
right,
We can believe these particular words, but when we say, I can believe as a stay-at-home mom that I can create a diaper that will change this world. I can believe as a woman who wants to come out the box about her sexuality that I can create a community of women who will love me, and I will heal them, and I will transform them. Sometimes it's so hard to believe the positive, but the negative, you can believe that all day.
right,
It's the
right.
spells. It's the y'all, Abigail and I are not walking around telling ourselves like, oh girl, this ain't gonna work.
No,
Don't do it. No, we are empowering ourselves through our words to say, like, our breath,
yeah.
our healing, our queen energy. We sit in this, we resonate in this, we empower ourselves and others in this. And if you're listening to this and you want to take your life to the next level, I would just challenge you to ask yourself, how is your self talk? How are
Mm-hmm.
you talking to yourself in your mind, let alone, as you gave me the breakthrough, and I talked to my husband about it. We were talking about the shift in love languages and
Yeah.
recognizing that what we look for in others, we're supposed to look for in ourselves and do for ourselves first. How are we talking to ourselves? When you get that idea, are you saying, girl, that's stupid? Ain't nobody even going to want to come along with that?
Right. Exactly.
Right? And we have to
Yep.
learn how to believe. Believe does have the word lie inside of it. And my husband used to never want to use the word believe. He was like, I don't use that word. It has a lie inside of it. Right? But then I had to tell him, believe is in the same arena with faith. And sometimes you have to tell yourself that lie, that you are the greatest mom until you become the greatest mom, that you are
Yeah.
a prized author until you are that prized author. You have to speak those things over your life
Yes.
before it manifests.
You bring up such a good point, because this is something that I was talking to a client of mine just recently, just the other day actually, because I was trying to explain to her the difference between, like you were saying, speaking good over your life, right? Over your health, over your relationships, whatever, and gaslighting yourself.
Mm, What would you define as gaslighting, if you don't mind sharing? Because I always hear the word and I look it up,
Right.
but I just haven't had anybody explain it to me yet for me to even know if I gaslight people.
Right. So, and this is I think this is the biggest difference for me. I feel like other people can gaslight you, you can't gaslight yourself.
Mm,
Only because your words are powerful. So if I, for example, if I'm saying to myself, you know what, I'll set the scene first. So let's
okay.
say I am feeling really like trash. Like I'm achy. Maybe I like had a hard workout the day before. Maybe I picked up a virus or a bacteria or something, and my body is trying to fight it off. And maybe I have a headache, and my bones are a little achy, and I'm sneezy. Maybe I just, I'm like, I just don't want to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to show up. If I tell myself, Abigail, take a breath, take a breath. You're going to get up, you're going to shower, you are going to take some Tylenol, you are going to say your prayers, do your breath work, you're going to do your protections because your energy and your body is a temple. You're going to eat a good breakfast, and you are going to tell yourself the entire way that everything is good. You are killing it. Your body is kicking ass and taking names, and it is being just the most amazing, magical miracle factory
I like that.
that it can be, right? This is different than somebody coming up to me and saying, you know, you're so sick and you can't do anything today. Like, or somebody even worse coming up and saying, you're not sick. I don't know what you're
Mm,
complaining about. You're not sick. You're not sick. So
okay.
get up and go do.
So gaslighting is basically when you try to change someone else's perspective of what's actually happening.
Correct.
Mm,
So and this is where I say somebody else can gaslight me, but I cannot gaslight myself.
mm,
Because when I am speaking, saying I'm not sick, like I did that often. This was actually like how I got through almost my entire childhood with only being sick like once or twice in my life. Like
mm.
growing up as a child before the ages of 18. Um was me saying to myself, like, I am not sick. I am
Right.
not sick. I'm going to school. I'm not available for this. Some people might look at that and say, Abigail, you gaslit yourself hard. And I would say, no, I didn't. I can't gaslight myself. What I can do is I can speak wealth and abundance
And
onto
health.
my body, and
Yeah.
I can open up through my words my body's ability to heal itself.
Yes.
That is me performing self magic,
Yeah.
right? Different than somebody else coming up to me and me saying, well, this is how I feel. And they're like, no, you don't. You
Mm.
don't feel that way. That's them gaslighting me,
Got
right?
you.
Right. So a lot of people may disagree with me on this, of that you can't personally gaslight yourself. And I think I think it automatically, I think it just very simply comes down to, what do you want to believe? Do
Yeah.
you want to believe that you can gaslight yourself? At
Yeah.
which point then you absolutely will. And every word that you say is going to operate only in one way,
The
right?
way.
The way. And if you think about what that means, right? If me telling myself that when I'm feeling a little ill, right, and I'm trying to like bolster myself and get myself up out of my bed so I can go and I can show up for the world and I can show up for myself, if me being positive towards myself is gaslighting,
Yeah.
and somebody being negative towards me, as in invalidating how I feel, is gaslighting. What is happening here? Now I
Right.
can't be positive and they have to be negative towards me. Like, so now I only matter when somebody else is being positive to me, but not when I'm being positive to me.
Right. Right. And that's where the power lies is recognizing, oh my gosh, you really just unlocked something else right there. Is recognizing that it's a cold world.
Mm,
right? When you, and it's so crazy we're talking about this right now. Whether you are intentional about becoming more as a woman, as an individual, as a spiritual being having a human experience, whether you're intentional about that or not intentional, it's a beautiful world out there, but there's also a cold world out there, right? And the
Yeah.
beauty truly comes from you as an individual knowing that you are standing in the power that you have, which is the same power of the energy that is creating universes, right? Like
Mm.
the sun is behind you in the sky, and neither one of us are concerned about whether it's going to fall out, right? And so
Yes.
the reality and the mindset shift is, if you're not positive with yourself, who do you think is going to be positive with you? Because the reality is life is only going to give you more of what you think about. So if when you are feeling sick, you're, oh, I'm just not going to feel better today, and it's horrible. Honey, you're
Yep.
not going to feel better today,
Nope.
right? Versus, like you were saying, if you made the decision to know that you don't feel good and you respect your body and you say, I'm just not going to show up to work today. I don't owe anyone an excuse. If I have to give an excuse, I will just respectively set the boundaries of what it is. But personal accountability for how we speak to ourselves, how we treat ourselves, how we care for ourselves, how we show up for ourselves first before trying to pour into everyone else. It's only through getting better at that that you block the energy of people that can gaslight you or narcissists. And it's so interesting because, like you said in our other episode, we want so much from others, but what are we giving ourselves?
Yes.
Right? It's the self-love, it's the self-care, and it's so funny because I truly believe there is a balance between giving yourself love and being lazy,
Yes. Yes.
right?
And this is exactly it, right? This is the part that a lot of people do not understand. And I feel like people don't understand it not because they're incapable of understanding it, but because they legitimately say and go, like, if I understand this, then I actually have to do something about it. When I say that I am going to tell myself what I am available for, that I am going to get up and I am going to do no matter how I'm feeling, that is because for me personally, that is how I choose to show up.
Yeah,
There are times when I'm like, you know what? I had 5 things that I wanted to do on my to-do list, and I can only, because of how I'm feeling, I can only get 3 done.
yeah,
That is me telling myself, you know what? I'm going to prioritize how I feel, but I'm also going to prioritize how it is that I want to show up because that's who I want to be. If
facts.
I want to be the CEO of my company and I want to be running it to the degree of somebody who makes multi-millions of dollars, let me tell you, right now in my business, I can't sit and be like, I'm just going to get nothing done unless I am truly like at death's door.
Right,
At which point I shouldn't be laying on my couch or in my bed. I should be going to the hospital, right?
right.
There's discernment that happens,
Yeah,
right? Because if I was like, well, I haven't even broken $50,000 months yet, and I'm going, or $10,000 months yet, or $5,000 months yet, because I don't have all of my ducks in a row, and
yeah,
I don't have and that includes structure and limiting beliefs, right? The
facts.
the masculine and the feminine,
Yeah,
right? I don't have my ducks in a row, but I'm not sick enough to need to go to the hospital.
right.
Then
So what
I
am I
need
gonna do today?
Exactly. I need to then say, where is the line between doing for myself and being lazy?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because the laziness, it kills confidence.
Mm.
Clarity is in the doing. I learned that from one of my business coaches, and I share it with my clients all the time. Clarity is in the doing. Sometimes we don't take action because we're scared to fail. But here's the thing: without failing, you will never learn a lesson. One thing I've learned in business, and I see this when it comes down to success. First, I would love to share the definition of success.
Please.
Success is the pursuit, the active pursuit of a worthy goal or destination. Pursuit, success is not the getting the
Achievement.
it's not getting the achieve. Success is when you are in pursuit.
Yes.
It's the act of pursuit, right? So if you set the goal and say, I'm going to have $5,000, $10,000 months, as long as you are in active pursuit of seriously achieving the goal, you're already successful. Sometimes we want the physical manifestation to be what we define as successful. And when we don't have that, then we decide to be lazy. But you will never truly take your life to the next level in and outside of business if you are choosing a low vibrational frequency of laziness versus confidence. Right. And again, it's not always confidence to sell. If we go back to the example of the stay-at-home mom, and you're like, okay, I've listened to this podcast and y'all don't whip me into shape. So now I want to do something, right? Allow me to tell you that success is creating a Facebook group tomorrow morning, something that will take
Yes.
15 minutes, right? Success is inviting some of your friend moms to the group. Success
Yes.
is just posting a question in there to ask them, what are some of the struggles that you're having as a mom? Success is saying, let's get on a Zoom call once a month. Success is bringing women together. Success is saying that today I don't feel good. And though I had 5 things on my to-do list, I only got 3 accomplished, and I'm okay with that. But tomorrow I'm going to get to those 2. Success
Yes.
is recognizing that you're not going to really be financially successful in the blink of an eye, and recognize that that's the culture. That's what America shows you. But if you go to other countries, you see that people are successful by having the families.
Yes.
Right? They're successful because they're at a peace in mind to know that they're operating in their purpose. And I truly feel like that's what's important. And that's what I push in queenhood. Honestly, I don't care to work with women who are not purposeful, who are not operating in their purpose. Because when you're operating in your purpose, like, it is my purpose to empower and inspire women to be confident enough to create and grow their dream business. So, because when you operate in purpose and things are not going as you thought it would in business, you still take action. And one more thing that I want to say too that I've realized, you ever realize when people interview successful people, no one can actually pull up that piece of paper and give you like the road map.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes.
No
Speak to
one,
this.
you've never met a successful person that says you do A, B, and C, because any person that's successful and has accumulated wealth, a man or a woman, they always say, I failed. Bless you. They always say, I failed. They always say there were roadblocks. They will always say, I needed mentors. They will always say, I needed people around me. They will always say there were family and friends who thought I was crazy. They will always say, I maybe got fired from that job. They may say, I only had $3 in my bank account. You got to be ready for the obstacles,
Yes.
or you
Yes.
will never be successful.
Yes. And understanding that even if they could say, you know what, here are the pillars, here are the things that you need to sort of be understanding within these pillars, from 0 to 5,000, 5 to 30, 30 to 50, 50 to a million, or whatever, even if they have that, even if they called that their roadmap, it's so individualized to every
Facts.
person, because everybody's business is different and everybody's like goals are different. I love that you have made it a pillar for yourself and your business with queenhood, that only working with those that are being intentional and purposeful about what it is that they want to do and understanding where it is that they want to go. And that's not to say, and I know you don't mean it as like they have to have all of their ducks in a row in
Right.
order to
Not
be
at all.
successful. Not at all, but that they need to have a clear goal in their mind that they're willing to build out and to make it a dream that scares them.
Yes, 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 because longevity is a value over here. We don't play the short term game. right? This is not it's the same way with like healing, right? It's no way
Mm-hmm.
you guys get on the phone with Abigail and you have 3 healing sessions with her, and now all of a sudden you're supposed to be 100% healed. It's a long-term game, right?
Yeah.
Longevity is key because life is a journey. There's no, you get the big house, because guess what? Once you get the big house, you're trying to figure out how can I fill it with furniture. Once you get the furniture, you're trying to figure out how often I'm gonna change the curtains. Now you got to have the kids to fill the house up. Now you got to try to help them get through life. It's always going to be something.
Yes. You guys, this has been just the most amazing
Yeah.
podcast episode that I could have ever wished for. Breyel, thank you so much, my love, for
Yes.
doing this with me, for our people that are going to show up to this. Please tell us where we can find you and
Hey,
work
I
with
love
you.
this part. I love this part. It's so funny because I want to say before that, when you're working in your purpose, when you are having fun and like really connecting, do y'all see how fast this
I know
podcast
this is like,
so
this
just
is
I
50,
felt
almost
like I
50
was in like
minutes.
a spaceship rocket.
I was
Right?
like 30. You guys, usually I cut this off at 30 minutes. And I will tell you right now, my alarm went off. I just shut this off and I was like, we're gonna keep going. Because this is kismet. This is working within your passion. This is having conversation that is meaningful. And this is what happens. This is what happens. And I challenge every single one of you to have a conversation like we just had today.
Yeah.
I really, really, really wish that for every single one of you.
Yes. Oh my goodness, because these are the connections. So speaking of connections, so ladies, you can, and maybe gentlemen if they're tuning in, I am over on LinkedIn, Breyel Banks. You can find me over there if you are a business professional. If you are over on Facebook, then I would love for you to join my Facebook group. It is called the Create and Grow Your Dream Business Facebook group. Simple as that. And then if you are over on Instagram, we are Queenhood Finance over on Instagram. And whichever platform you decide to connect with me over on, you will always be in a space where community is key. And if you are interested in creating and or growing your dream business, I would love for us to get connected. I would love for us to get on a call and just really see where you are. What are some of your ideas? What are some of your obstacles and your challenges? And I would love to help you move forward in whatever space that you're in. So let's connect. That'd be so beautiful.
Yay. You guys, I'm going to make sure that all of the places that you can find her, follow her, work with her are going to be down below in the show notes. Thank you, thank you, thank you, as always, for joining me on this amazing journey I call Breath of Life Conversations. I just wish all of you the best day, week, month, wherever this conversation finds you. Please go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe, and never miss an episode. I am Abigail, as I said, your host, medical intuitive, registered nurse, and master healer. This has been Breyel Banks, financial business queendom queen extraordinaire. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Breyel. Mwah.
Yes.
So much love.
See you soon.